kind of we're looking at 2 years holding these forums, which would coincide with our next regular non-recall election cycle. And I mean, we'd be about done with the forums at the time of the next election, and I'm just wondering, is there an advantage to us maybe moving ahead faster than we had originally anticipated and trying to get done in a few months? Or should we be maybe thinking in terms of over the next 18 months or something?
I would suggest that, that I'm not familiar enough with the political context here, but that is certainly the question that you should be asking yourselves. And, do an analysis of the political situation. Would it benefit to, be in the midst of a campaign cycle? Would it benefit to stop short, to begin after? That's a determination that you should think long and hard about. And as Mr. Langdon said, we didn't even think about that. The only thing we thought about was, we shouldn't have a couple of meetings here in November because that's the election. Had we put 2 seconds more thought into it, we might have come to some completely different meeting schedule. But that's really the only thing that we thought about, was we shouldn't have a meeting on the night of the election.
We ended up with 3 events post-election.
Yeah.
I think the other part of that answer, Bob, is the availability of bodies.
Mm-hmm.
If we only have a small group planning these, we're going to do fewer, and perhaps over a longer period of time. It just depends on what the enthusiasm is for actually providing the resources for us to do this.
Just a real quick comment, and I didn't get into this, but I had it in my notes. The recall elections in our state are August 9th, August 16th. The next one starts January 1st. In order to do these forums, we have to pick this fall before it starts with a governor's recall. And having the forums in the middle of a governor's recall, which will go on for 6 months, then there's the April primaries, then there's our September, well, they're going to be August this year, they're changing the primary dates, and the November elections. We are going to be in this state in a continual election cycle. If the rumors are true and Dave Obey emerges as a candidate to recall Governor Walker, this is going to be a very boisterous campaign. I'm saying, I think the opportunity to do these forums and collect this would be this fall. If you do it in the gubernatorial election, I can tell you it will be a political issue. So I think get in what you can get in this year before January 1st rolls around, after August 19th, and do a feasibility study on how these work, and maybe 1 or 2, what model works best for us.
Let me just reinforce one other thing that as both Tim and Johnny explained, that the question being asked at the forums is, where do you want to go?
Right.
And one of the areas where I think, to me, it's the greatest number of voters, and it's the one that we did not successfully begin to reach in the last year, was the traveler. People only take trains because they want to go someplace. And we argued a lot of other reasons why you should support the train, but we didn't get really one that I think appeals to the most number of people. Here's where you can go. And I don't know how many people in this room realize that had that extension been from Madison to Milwaukee, people in Madison would have had 1,000 places to go by train in America and Canada, all connected by train, 1,000. And most people thought it was the one place, Milwaukee, and it was actually 1,000. So I think ProRail needs to help build into this, that we need to figure out a way to reach the traveler better with our story. With that, let me just make a final comment here. And this is kind of under what we're challenging to be. So what have we learned in the last year and a half since we thought we really would have expanded train service in Wisconsin? Number one, a lot of organizations in the state, both public and private, see the benefits of having more passenger rail serving Wisconsin. I don't know that we knew that a year and a half ago. Two, many of these organizations saw the necessity and benefits of establishing ways to work together on behalf of passenger rail. One of those ways was the formation of the Wisconsin Rail Coalition. Until today, essentially, conference call based. This is its first face-to-face conference and perhaps represents an important next step for the group. 3, we also learned we were not sufficiently prepared for the well-organized attacks on passenger rail by those skillfully using accusations against the planned Madison-Milwaukee segment of a high-speed rail line between Chicago and the Twin Cities, calling it a boondoggle, a service no one will ride. It would only serve those going between Madison and Milwaukee. It would cost the state many, many millions of state dollars each year to operate and so on. That distortion greatly confused many Wisconsin citizens, and that damage remains to be repaired. The continuation of the Wisconsin Rail Coalition, today's conference with 17 co-sponsorships on this first outing, and your attendance demonstrates that we still want a Wisconsin with more passenger trains, and we are willing to work towards that goal. At least we hope you leave here among those of us willing to work to that goal. And 5, the passenger rail needs in Wisconsin we identified in 2010 are still just as needed today, and will only grow more critical for us to secure in the years ahead. An active statewide passenger rail coalition can help ensure that only our timetable has changed. And just a personal note, about 30 years ago I attended the meeting forming the Wisconsin Association of Railroad Passengers, and at that meeting joined the first board of that group to help get more trains to more places in Wisconsin. About 6 years later, I was co-founder with 2 others in Madison of ProRail, one of the co-sponsors of today's conference in a group which shared that goal with Wissart. 30 years is a long time to wait for the trains that we almost had until 8 months ago. Actually, I never waited during that time, but instead devoted thousands of hours personally working toward that initial goal. And I'm willing to keep working, whether I'm around long enough to be able to ride those trains myself or not. But those trains will be for my kids and my grandkids and yours as well. And with your help, I know the trains we want are coming, and I want to work to make sure that they're there when they arrive. I want to first of all thank Tim and John for being here. Let's give them a round of applause. We worked them very hard, and I also want to say they came over by Amtrak, all the way from Michigan until they arrived here. I want to thank those of you on the planning committee for this conference, and I'll just Nona, would you please stand and be recognized? Bob Fisher. Completed and leave a copy with us, and be sure to take a copy with you as you leave so you remember what you committed to today. And we'll see you again sometime. And the next conference, rail conference call is next Friday, a week, not tomorrow, but next Friday, a week.
August 5th.
August 6th, I think it is. At 9:30, and if you want to be involved, let us know on the form, and then we'll add you and send you the information about the conference call number to...
I have the conference call number.
Or see Nona if you need the conference call number now.